realize that most people cannot take the time to fully understand the complete technicalities of things like cryptocurrencies and their underlying code, but I will always hold out for the fact that anyone can comprehend what makes something valuable and useful. Now, by beginning the pursuit of understanding things like Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies and why they exist in the first place, you will essentially be killing two birds with one stone, especially if you are not already well-versed in the world of economics. The two birds being understanding what gives Bitcoin value and utility, and gaining a better perspective of how the current economics of your USD, Euro, Yen, South African Rand, etc. is being challenged. So, with that being said, here are 3 great starting points for those of you who are new to learning about Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. But most importantly, I want to remind you to always follow up with asking why. In this scenario, it is in your best interest to be that annoying toddler that always asks questions and is curious about how everything works and is always asking why. So, first breadcrumb today is who is against Bitcoin. Most likely, these people will fall into either of these categories. Either they own, are employed by, or are heavily invested in companies that will be heavily disrupted and possibly made insignificant, quite possibly made very insignificant due to the growth and adoption of borderless peer-to-peer transaction protocols. Or they are not generally gifted with a strong sense of foresight, and instead, they heavily rely on the approval of others before they come around to any kind of new innovation. Quite frankly, they've most likely found a whole lot of comfort in what they already know and understand. Understanding who is against Bitcoin is important because most often these are the narratives that dominate the mainstream media. Next breadcrumb I have for you is who controls transactions of fiat currencies. Think banks, credit card companies, and other third-party processors like PayPal. It's becoming increasingly more prevalent that individuals are being censored in more ways than one. Facebook and YouTube are known for this from time to time if the content being posted doesn't fall in line with their political agendas. But even more unfortunately, censorship is also being seen in the transmission of money. PayPal has been notorious for shutting down accounts of individuals who represent a business or ideal that isn't copacetic with PayPal's political objectives or agendas. This has also been seen by banks themselves not allowing certain transactions and credit card companies as well, which should really make your blood boil because essentially they are declaring it to be their money and not yours, and you can only spend it in ways that they see fit. And then steps in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, which allow you to use their networks to send and receive to and from anyone, anywhere in the world without worrying about some faraway company blocking it because they don't like it. This third breadcrumb is a big one and is definitely worthy of your attention, and that is inflation and what it does to the purchasing power of your currency over time. Also, one that you should definitely be looking into is the modern monetary theory. So, this third topic is logical, yet I believe many people have become blissfully ignorant of how this has affected their lives on a daily basis. And inflating currency is a currency that will become less valuable over time. The US dollar, for example, loses about 3.2% of its purchasing power each year. And that's just what's being reported. Calculating the actual rate of inflation for the USD, for example, is pretty much impossible as there has never been an independent audit of the Federal Reserve, the central bank of the United States. Now, this one, again, inflation, is deceptively simple because unlike Bitcoin, the supply of currencies like the USD and the Euro are completely dictated by each country's central banks. Banks, which are not a part of any governmental body and therefore are completely independent from the requirement of acquiring the votes of the individuals who are forcefully subjected to using that particular currency. Suffice to say that the supply of these fiat currencies are not reliable and are very much subjected to the whims of those who run that central bank. Now, this is a very dark, deep rabbit hole that you can get into learning about central banks, learning about their real motives, learning about how they make money, and all the ways that taxpayers are affected by this. Now, perhaps this is why many people are blissfully ignorant, because they aren't burdened with the act of participating in the economics of the currencies that they have to use. So, if you're interested in learning more, definitely encouraging you to read the book The Creature from Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffin. Now, before I forget to mention, the complete supply of Bitcoin is forever known, and the rate of newly created Bitcoin has been specifically written into the code of Bitcoin and decreases over time until at one point it will no longer create new Bitcoin. You may have noticed an increase in attention being paid to the Bitcoin halving event that is set to take place this May. Every 4 years, the emission rate of newly created Bitcoins are halved. Now, this always plays a role in the price of Bitcoin and the behaviors of those who mine it. That in itself is certainly worth a video, but for now, I think I have given you some pretty tasty breadcrumbs that will help you further discover why the existence of things like Bitcoin are not only important, but will prove to be very valuable and useful over time.